With MLB opening day just 3 days away, I decided that it would be fun to pick one bold prediction for every single MLB team. So whether you're a Marlins fan or a New York Yankees fan, I will have a prediction for your team in this video. I'm going to be going in reverse alphabetical order, so starting with the Washington Nationals and finishing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's see your team's prediction. And before we get started, just remember, these are bold predictions. These are not things that I would bet my life on or I truly expect to happen, but they are things that I could see happening. That's what a bold prediction is. Also, if you enjoy this video at any point, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, as it helps me out a lot. For the Nationals, I have a 30-30 season is incoming for James Wood, and that means 30 stolen bases and 30 home runs. So far in spring, he has 4 doubles and 4 homers in just 11 games in spring training. That's not a huge deal, but it does show his power potential. In 79 games in MLB in 2024, he had 14 stolen bases and 9 home runs. He also only pulled 2 of those 9 home runs. 7 of them went opposite field, so if he's learning how to pull, he definitely has the power to hit 30 home runs. He also has an incredible average exit velocity and hard hit rate, so I think he might be an all-star as well as go 30-30 for the Nationals this year. James Wood, he's gonna be a beast. For the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm not too sure how bold this one really is, but Bo Bichette is dealt at the trade deadline as the Blue Jays finished last in the division. I think a lot of people have the Tampa Bay Rays finishing last in the AL East, but for me personally, I kind of think it's going to be Toronto, even with their nice offseason that they had. The AL East is a powerhouse this year, and the Blue Jays, they just have a brutal stretch to start the season. Just listen to the teams that they face to start. Nationals, Orioles, Mets, Red Sox, Orioles again, Braves, Mariners, Astros, Yankees, and Red Sox again. They could start very bad in those first 35 games, and that puts them in a terrible situation and almost forces them to sell early if they are deep in last place, which feels very possible. Not to mention, they did also come in last place last year, so again, I'm not too sure how bold this really is. I think trading Bo Bichette is the bolder take here. I don't know what else to say for Toronto. I think Bo Bichette is dealt and they finish last. The Texas Rangers, we're going to be getting a little spicy, and they're going to be the World Series champions again in 2025 after missing the playoffs in 2024. They are a very good baseball team. They're getting Jacob deGrom back, and this time I believe he's going to stay healthy because he said he's prioritizing not throwing as hard as possible every pitch. And that's why he's been able to pitch into his early 40s and continue dominating throughout that stretch. Their offense is still crazy, and after they mashed their way to the World Series in 2023, I believe there's a real chance to return to the World Series and even win it. There is just so much power in this lineup. Corey Seager, Jake Berger, Jock Peterson, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, even the bullpen is improved here, and the rotation is solid, but this take is really going to depend on how Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter are able to perform. But Leiter looks amazing in spring training so far, and I have a ton of hope for him. The Rangers, they could win the World Series if things go right. For the Tampa Bay Rays, I wrote this script a couple of days ago, and I had Shane McClanahan finishes in top 5 AL Cy Young. That's unfortunate because he's going to be missing some time with an arm issue now because he suffered an arm injury in spring training. So instead, I'm going to go with their new opening day starter. Ryan Pepiot puts up a 5-WAR season and is top 10 in AL Cy Young. Ryan Pepiot was traded from the Dodgers to the Tampa Bay Rays last offseason. Pepiot had a solid first season for Tampa Bay with a 2.1 WAR, a 3.6 ERA, and he threw 130 innings and struck out 142 batters in those innings. The FIP was a little worse than the ERA, which kind of points to him maybe getting a little worse, but Ryan Pepiot has some of the nastiest strikeout stuff in the league for a starting pitcher, and I truly believe in Pepiot. I am a little concerned with his home field being a minor league park this year, since the Rays will be playing their home home games at the Yankees spring training facility and not Tropicana Field, but apart from that, I think Ryan Pepiot is destined to break out this year. It's going to be my prediction. For the St. Louis Cardinals, my prediction is going to be a defensive prediction, and that is that they have 3 Gold Glovers among their roster. I'm not exactly sure who the 3 players are going to be, but I'd assume that it's 3 of these 4 guys: Michael Ciani, Mason Wynn, Nolan Arenado, or Lars Nootbaar. All of these 4 defenders are very good defensively. Michael Ciani is a beast in center field. Mason Wynn put up some electric numbers last year at shortstop. Nolan Arenado has about 37 Gold Gloves already at this point in his career, and Lars Nootbaar is one of the more underrated defenders in all of baseball. I think 3 of these 4 guys are going to win a Gold Glove, and who knows, maybe even 4 could, but I think 3 is a safer bet, but still very bold. I have them winning 3 Gold Gloves. Moving on to the Seattle Mariners, I have Andres Munoz saves 40 games in 2025. Andres Munoz has been one of the most consistent dominant relievers over the past 3 or 4 years, so it might be kind of weird to say that it's a bold take for him to only get 40 saves. However, in 5 career seasons and 199 games, he only has 40 career saves total. Last year, he had 60 appearances with a 2.12 ERA, and he still only had 22 saves. However, I think Andres is going to benefit from that bullpen in Seattle getting slightly worse, and he's going to get more save opportunities. And with his new kick changeup that absolutely falls off the face of the planet Earth, I think he's going to be nearly unhittable this year. I bet he has a sub 2 ERA as well, but I think the save number is a more interesting bold prediction. I'm going with 40 saves for Munoz, and I really believe that this one might happen. For the San Francisco Giants, I have Justin Verlander is going to have a better than career average ERA at under a 3.3 ERA. Now, normally this wouldn't be a bold take. In 2022, he had a 1.5 ERA. The year before that, he had a 3.0. The year before that, 2.5. Before that, another 2.5. He's been a beast for the past decade, basically, at this point. However, last year, he really struggled. In 2024, at 41 years old, he put up a 5.48 ERA and was left off the Houston Astros postseason roster. That's insane for a player with 80 career WAR and a stature like Justin Verlander. However, he was just not good and he couldn't get it done coming off of injury. He's now pitching for the San Francisco Giants, and I think that ballpark might help save his final few seasons of his career. The reason why I'm saying that this is bold is because I'm betting on a 42-year-old to lower his ERA by 2.2 points from last season. However, if there's one guy that's going to be able to do it, it's going to be Justin Verlander, and I think he's going to with that big pitcher park in San Francisco. Don't be surprised if Justin Verlander bounces back and is a monster pitcher once again. For the San Diego Padres, I have a take regarding one of the more underrated and underappreciated starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, and that's Michael King, and I think he might win the NL Cy Young. Last year was Michael King's first year as a San Diego Padre, as he was one of the bigger pieces headlining the Juan Soto trade, where the Padres sent Soto to the Yankees, and Michael King was a part of that deal. 2024 was also Michael King's first year as a starter for the whole season, and in that first year, he was elite with a 2.95 ERA in 30 starts with 173 innings and 201 strikeouts. He came 7th in Cy Young voting in the National League, and I just think he's going to take another step forward. His stuff is some of the best in baseball. When you watch that slurve, slider, sweeper thing, whatever he calls it, he just absolutely dominates with that pitch. Especially in that playoff start that he had against the Braves last year, he was unhittable. I have a lot of stock bought into Michael King, and I believe this take. I think he's going to be the NL Cy Young winner if it's not Paul Skeens, but Paul Skeens isn't bold. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, I have O'Neal Cruz going 30-30. This is very similar to the James Wood prediction, It's just another guy who's very fast and hits the ball really, really hard. O'Neal Cruz could easily be a 30-30 guy in my opinion, and I don't even think that this one's that bold. I could have done a take about Paul Skeens, but basically everyone expects that guy to be the best pitcher in baseball already, so no matter what he does, it's not that bold. So I'm just gonna go with O'Neal Cruz has a 30-30 season, even if that might not be the most exciting take on the list. The next take is another take that's happened before, 2 times actually, and that's Bryce Harper bounces back and wins MVP for the Philadelphia Phillies. This is another one that people might say that's not that bold, and I get that, but when Shohei Ohtani is in your league, predicting somebody to win MVP over Shohei Ohtani is a bold take in my opinion. And I'm only picking one player on each side, if even, to win Cy Young or MVP or Rookie of the Year, so it's not like there's going to be another NL player that I predict is going to win MVP, because that would be stupid, because both of those things can't happen. Only one of them can, and I'm trying to go 30 for 30. And because of that, I'm picking Bryce Harper as my bold MVP. We are already 4 years removed from Bryce Harper's last MVP season in 2021, which is insane because I feel like I went to bed last night when he was an MVP, and now 4 years have passed and he is no longer an MVP. However, last year he did come 6th in MVP voting, the year before that he was 12th in MVP voting, and he hasn't played over 150 games since 2019. So if he does play over 150 games, I do think that there's a very good chance that Bryce Harper does win MVP once again, and that's just going to be my prediction for the Phillies. New York Yankee fans are not going to like this one, and I'm going to get dislike bombed for this video, and that's because I'm saying that the New York Yankees are going to have their first losing record in 30 years. Now again, do I think that this is going to happen? I don't know. Would I put money on this happening? Absolutely not. It's very unlikely in my opinion, but I think that there's a real chance that it could happen, and it's a fun thing to predict. I don't think other people are predicting that they're going to win under 80 games, but I think it's a fun take to throw at a dartboard and just hope it sticks, because this has a real chance of happening. Garrett Cole is out for the season, we know that. Clark Schmidt is out for at least the beginning of the season, and Luis Gil is out for a couple of months minimum. Giancarlo Stanton also has not started baseball activities, so things are looking very bad on the injury front for the New York Yankees. Their depth chart already consists of Carlos Carrasco, Will Warren, and Marcus Stroman, who they literally wanted to throw into the trash can all offseason, and now they had to name their 3 starter because things have gone so poorly. The bullpen should be good. Devin Williams is kind of always due for an injury though, which is unfortunate because he's the best closer in baseball. But like, I can't remember the last time he's had a full season. Luke Weaver and Fernando Cruz I think will both be very good for the Yankees, but they are a little bit of an unknown. And then the offense, again, that's just a big unknown in my opinion. Paul Goldschmidt could easily bounce back into a very good baseball player. Same thing with Cody Bellinger, same thing with Jason Dominguez breaking out and becoming a good baseball player. But if Judge even misses like 30 games this year, the New York Yankees are going to be in a very tough spot, and I think it could cost them their consecutive streak of winning baseball seasons. Again, not something I would put money on, but it's a fun prediction. Don't worry, Yankees fans, I'm also going to make the Mets fans mad at me as well too, because I have them missing the playoffs. And before you yell at me again, don't click off the video yet. I know I've made some bad videos on the Mets in the past, but this is not anything to do with the Mets really. It's more to do with the strength of the National League. The Mets are probably not going to win the division over the Braves or the Phillies in my opinion. The Padres and the Diamondbacks I think are both better teams than these current New York Mets, with Francisco Alvarez injured and the starting rotation being a little bit of a mess. And again, like I said, I think the Braves will come second in the division, and if that happens, they miss the playoffs. There's going to be a team in the NL Central that makes it, the Dodgers are going to make it, and then the Phillies are going to make it, and I have the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves all finishing ahead of the Mets in 2025, meaning that the Mets miss the playoffs. It's not because the Mets are a bad team, it's because the NL is stacked. the Mets would probably be the 1 seed in the American League, but they're not in the American League. They're in the National League, which is much better now. This is a fun one, and it's not one that I really have to get too in-depth into, and it's for the Minnesota Twins. Matt Wallner hits the hardest baseball of the entire year. Matt Wallner has unbelievable bat speed, and when you swing the bat harder, you hit the ball harder generally. Matt Wallner also has some insane exit velocities. With Giancarlo Stanton out for an extended period of time, I think this opens the door for Matt Wallner to have the hardest hit baseball of the season. Of course, O'Neal Cruz or Elly De La Cruz could also do that, but I think it's fun to give Matt Wallner a little shine because I don't even think that many people know who this guy is. But he crushes baseballs very hard. The Milwaukee Brewers are another one that I don't know how bold this is going to be, but I have Bryce Terang leads all of baseball in steals. Bryce Terang did have 50 stolen bases last year, so again, I'm not too sure how bold this one is, and there's really not much to say about this one. I just think they're going to let him run a lot, and I think he's going to steal a lot of bases because he's done that each of his first 2 seasons. I think he's going to lead baseball in stolen bases this year. That's the prediction. The Miami Marlins, I'm going to be very mean about because I think this roster is all-time bad, especially the offense. So I'm going to say that they come last in the league in runs scored in the National League by over 100 runs. They did this last year, and I think the offense got worse. So I just have to say that they're going to be the worst team at scoring runs by 100. Last year, the Chicago White Sox were worse in scoring runs, and I think that will continue again this year, but Miami's going to be so bad in the NL that they are 100 runs beneath the second lowest scoring run team in the National League. That's the prediction. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, I have another simple one, and it's that they break the all-time MLB win record. The 2001 Seattle Mariners have that record currently held when they went 116-46. A very, very, very good season, and they did not even win the World Series in that year because they have no World Series wins. This year, I think the Dodgers are deep enough on paper, in the bullpen, the offense, the defense, the rotation, everywhere, to break 117 wins and be the most winningest team of all time. I don't know if that means that they're going to win the World Series. I have the Rangers winning the World Series in these bold predictions, but I think they're going to be the best regular season team in MLB history. I have another fun one for the Los Angeles Angels, and that's that Ben Joyce hits 106 miles per hour on a fastball, the hardest pitch ever thrown. Aroldis Chapman has hit 105.8, which got rounded up to 106. However, I think Ben Joyce is going to hit 106.0 or higher this year. Ben Joyce throws the ball ridiculously hard, and even if this one doesn't happen, who cares? It was a fun thing to predict, and I'm trying to get a little creative with some of these. Ben Joyce, he's going to throw the hardest pitch ever thrown. For the Kansas City Royals, I have my American League MVP pick, and I'm going with Bobby Witt Jr. wins the AL MVP. Again, this is another one where it's hard to win the MVP over Aaron Judge, so if I predict someone to win over him, that's enough of a bold take for me to put it on this video, in my opinion. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is the best all-around baseball player we have seen in many, many years. His contact is insane, his power is really good, defense is maybe the best in baseball, he's the fastest player in baseball, and he has a rocket attached to his arm. He is a true 5-tool player, and I value that very highly, and I think this year he's going to break out even more than he did last year when he was already one of the best players in baseball. I think he's going to beat out Aaron Judge for the MVP award in the American League, and that is a bold prediction in my opinion. Another somewhat silly one is coming for the Houston Astros, and that's that Isaac Paredes hits an opposite field home run. He hasn't done it in his career to this point. He has 72 career home runs in 5 seasons, and he has not gone to the opposite field one time. As a right-handed hitter, he has pulled every single home run to left field, this time with the short right field in the Houston Stadium. I think he's going to hit one over there, hit a home run. First time in his entire career he hits an opposite field home run. That's my bold prediction. For the Detroit Tigers, I have that they have the best bullpen ERA in all of baseball by at least half a run. So if the second best ERA in baseball out of the bullpen is a 3.5, I think that Detroit is going to have a 3.0. This bullpen is insane, highlighted by Tyler Holton, who's the most underrated player in all of baseball in my opinion. They are just elite. Their group is unbelievable in that pen, and they were used to the highest degree last year, and if that doesn't happen this year, they're going to probably be an even better bullpen, and that is a scary thought for the rest of the American League Central. For the Colorado Rockies, I had Nolan Jones having a 5-WAR season. However, that vanished because the Rockies don't know how to be a baseball team, and they traded him away for peanuts. So now we're doing a bad one for the Rockies because I'm mad at them. So I'm going to go with no pitcher has a sub 4.5 ERA. I don't even know how bold this is because the Rockies have no good pitchers and their stadium is Coors Field where everybody can't pitch ever. So this might not be that bold, but I didn't have time to come up with another great prediction because I already had a good prediction and the Rockies stole it from me. Thank you for trading him away. Now for the Cleveland Guardians, I have Nolan Jones has a 5-WAR season. They are the team that just acquired Nolan Jones from the Rockies, so I'm just moving that prediction down to Cleveland because I really like that prediction. Nolan Jones has a cannon for an arm, which really helps out with WAR. He also crushes baseballs, and I think he's going to be starting a lot in Cleveland because they don't have the greatest offense and they don't have the greatest outfield. In 2024, Nolan Jones was not good with a negative WAR and only hit 3 home runs in over 250 at-bats. However, he was injured most of that season, and I don't put a ton of stock in seasons where players are injured. However, a lot of people do, and for that reason, people are very down on Nolan Jones, including the Colorado Rockies for some reason, which makes no sense because they are a professional baseball team and should understand that injuries can affect their players, which they do not. However, if you go back to the 2023 season where Nolan Jones was a rookie, he had a 4.3 WAR in 106 games and had a 20 home run, 20 stolen base, 20 double season. He's a very good player, and I have high hopes for Nolan Jones in 2025. My prediction: 5 wins for him, one of the best in the league. For the Cincinnati Reds, I have a prediction that I surprisingly haven't said for any other team so far, and it's that they win the division. I'm making all the fan bases mad at me that are normally mad at me, like the Chicago Cubs, because I know that Cubs fans really think that they're going to win the division. And again, if I had to put money on it, I'm picking the Cubs to win the division. But in my bold prediction video, I think that the Cincinnati Reds could realistically win this division if things break right for them. Elly De La Cruz is one of the best players in baseball. I don't care about the strikeouts, and you shouldn't either. He hits the ball hard, he steals a lot of bases, and the defense is elite. The rest of the offense is also pretty good. They have guys like Christian Encarnacion Strand, Matt McLain, TJ Friedel. They just have a good offense. And then they also have Hunter Green, Nick Martinez, and now Brady Singer in the rotation. This team, I think, could have what it takes to win a division, especially a weaker division like the NL Central. It's one of the weaker divisions in baseball, and I think that the Reds, they could win it. For the Chicago White Sox, I'm not sure how much I really believe that this one is possible after what they went through last year, but I think they might get worse and have the worst record of all time again. They did that last year. This year, I think there's a chance that they could do it again. They are really bad. The rotation could be somewhat serviceable with a lot of rookies that could be okay, like Drew Thorpe and Jonathan Cannon. However, Martin Perez is the only veteran in that room, and they traded away Garrett Crochet. Luis Roberts probably going to get traded away at the deadline if I had to make a prediction as well. And I don't know, the offense just isn't great. They do have a lot of veterans in the offense, but most of them are on minor league deals, and a lot of them got cut, and I just don't know what I think about that offense. They do have a couple of prospects that might come up and contribute at some point too, like Kyle Teal, the catching prospect, or Colson Montgomery. Those two players could be impact players in the future. as well as Noah Schultz, but I don't think Schultz will see the MLB this year. The White Sox, they're going to be really bad. They might be worse than last year, but that is a hard prediction to make since they were the worst team of all time last year. For the Chicago Cubs, they might not be winning the division in this bold prediction video, but they are going to be winning the NL Rookie of the Year, with Matt Shaw absolutely blowing every other NL rookie out of the water. I think he might run away with this pick. Matt Shaw has some incredible tools. He's a good fielder, he's pretty decently quick, and he has some very good power from the third base position. He showed off some of his tools with nice defense and a base hit in the Tokyo series against the Dodgers, and those games do count, so they are important, and I think that Matt Shaw is just going to be really good this year. I think he's going to be the NL Rookie of the Year winner easily. For my Boston Red Sox, I might be getting a little biased here, but I think they are going to be top 3 in runs scored and top 3 in starting rotation ERA. Now, this might seem like I'm pushing it, and I understand that. I am pushing it a little bit, but I don't think saying that them being top 3 in runs scored would be that bold, because they play at Fenway Park and they're always around 5-3 or 1 in runs scored. They always are, even when they're bad. However, I think the starting rotation being top 3 is extremely bold because I don't know how high people are on this rotation. However, Garrett Crochet is going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Tanner Houck was an all-star last year, and I expect that to continue. Walker Buehler, I think, is going to remind people how good he is because he's having his first full season since Tommy John surgery, and Brian Bayo is also a very good pitcher. They also have guys like Richard Fitz, Lucas Giolito, Quinn Priester, guys that can just get it done when they have to. And Cutter Crawford was also good for at least half the year for the Red Sox last year until he started to slow down with a little bit of a knee problem. With that being said, I think that the Red Sox can be top 3 in both runs scored and starting rotation ERA. However, the bullpen, it scares me. For the Baltimore Orioles, I have a prediction about a player that I think a lot of people have kind of given up on already, which is insane to me, and that is Jackson Holliday and him hitting 25 home runs. Now, I don't think that this is that bold of a take because Holliday is still a beast in the box, even if people are not super high up on him anymore. However, I think people are so low on Jackson Holliday after his bad rookie season that this is bold because people don't even know where he's gonna play. And to be fair, I don't necessarily know where he's gonna play either because Jordan Westburg was an all-star last year. I think Holliday will end up getting most of the starts at second base this year, and I think he's gonna be a lot better this year and just hit 25 home runs. He only hit 5 home runs and 190 at-bats last year. That's around a third of the season. I think he could easily hit 25 home runs. I really believe that. For the Atlanta Braves, they're gonna make the World Series but lose in it. Now, the Dodger fans are gonna be unhappy with this one once again, and I understand that. But again, bold prediction, I think Atlanta has enough on paper to make the World Series. Their rotation is extremely underrated, and Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna Jr. will both be coming back early in this season. Once they make the playoffs, Ronald and Strider should hopefully be full strength and ready to ball out in the postseason. If that is the case and they stay healthy, they are going to have one of the most formidable lineups, rotations, and bullpens in the entire MLB playoffs, and I think they could easily match up with the Dodgers, and I think they could easily match up with the Phillies. Obviously, am I putting my money on that? No, I would put my money on the Dodgers, but bold prediction video, Braves make the World Series but lose to the Rangers. For the Athletics, the not Oakland Athletics, the not Sacramento Athletics, just the Athletics, I have them making the playoffs as a bold prediction. Again, this is another one that I'm not jumping up and down with excitement saying, oh, this is definitely gonna happen. This is just something that I think could happen because they have a really talented roster, especially on the offensive side of the baseball. However, bringing in Luis Severino does help out their rotation at least a little bit, and their closer is Mason Miller, who is unhittable. Tyler Soderstrom is good, Shea Langoliers is good, JJ Bleday is good, Brent Rooker is one of the best hitters in baseball, and Lawrence Butler is also an awesome baseball player. If things go right, I've been saying that a lot this video, but for most of these predictions, things just have to go right. If they do go right, I could see the Athletics making the postseason. And finally, much less of a long shot for the Arizona Diamondbacks to finish the video, I have Brandon Pfaadt breaks out with a sub 3.5 ERA. Brandon Pfaadt has a career 5 ERA, and last season he had a 4.7 ERA in 32 starts. One thing that I like about Pfaadt is his strikeout stuff, and the fact that his FIP was over a run lower than his ERA at 3.6, meaning for the most part he was getting unlucky defensively. He does a pretty good job of limiting home runs, he does a pretty good job of limiting walks, and he does a pretty good job of getting strikeouts and even limiting hits. So I think Brandon Pfaadt could take a big step, and if that happens, the Diamondbacks are going to be a scary roster. Look out for them. And with that being said, that is all 30 Major League Baseball teams. Let me know what you agree or disagree with in the comments section. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.